there's a lot of things that happen, and I believe that everybody really wants the same thing. Mm-hmm. They just have different means of the end result. So there's a lot of people that all of us can agree on is gun safety. Mm-hmm. Gun safety is huge, and both sides can agree to that.
Right.
After you get past the gun safety, it's how we're going to fix the problem is where we differ.
If you own a gun in California,
you should have an attorney.
You should have an attorney that specializes in California gun laws on your speed dial. Why? Because if you ever have a legal matter that involves firearms, you will be wanting his phone number, and that's John Dillon. Especially if you have questions about red flag laws, gun registration, gun transportation, or maybe you just need to know that your guns are California compliant. Our trusted firearms attorney is John Dillon. John Dillon specializes in California gun laws. Put his number on your phone right now. 760-642-7150. That's 760-642-7150.
I think people would be shocked if they knew how often I have to give out John Dillon's number per week.
Yeah.
I seriously, I should start charting it. And we should do, you know how they have like a jar full of beans, like jelly beans?
Yeah.
You guess the right amount, you get a prize. We're gonna get people to guess how many times I've given out John Dillon's number every month. And
well, you better do the beans because you'll never remember.
All right. So we were just talking to the lovely Kimberly Southwell. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
From DC Project. I am, if I were any better, I'd be twins.
I know. It could be illegal, right?
Totally.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for being a part of DC Project. So first off, let's start with this. Tell us your, give us the spiel on what is the DC Project.
DC Project.
Yeah.
Okay, so DC Project is a nationwide organization of women. Mm-hmm. Now, we're committed to safeguarding the Second Amendment.
Heard of it?
We're a nonpartisan initiative, and we're made up of daughters and mothers and sisters, and we believe that education is really more key to the firearm safety and basically violence prevention than legislation would be. We don't like legislation.
So what's up with DC Project?
That is a very good question. In fact, we're mulling over as we speak.
Changing the name?
Well, yes, or maybe adding on to it because the name has like a 7-year recognition, so people know the teal and they know
so
the.
it's kind of hard. I'm
it's
thinking
hard
it'd
to,
be
like,
hard to get away from.
Yeah.
But on the same token, how many times do you have to explain
Every time.
what the DC Project is?
There isn't a time that I don't.
It is. I got to tell you, it is. I remember when we started San Diego County Gun Owners, and I was, had all these suggestions. People were like, "Oh, you should call it like Freedom, blah blah blah," and I'm like, "No, I want something crystal clear." And everyone knows San Diego County Gun Owners. Okay, I know exactly what they do, exactly what they stand for. I totally get it. Mm-hmm. It's all in a name. But
well, look at the gun prom.
But it's the gun prom, right?
People tried like heck to get rid of that gun prom.
Sorry, it's stuck.
But it's stuck.
But the DC Project, the reason it's DC Project is because you guys actually go to DC, right?
Every year.
Yeah.
Well, the reason why it started that way is because Diana Mueller, the founder, had an issue and took it to her local legislator and ended up having to push that to get any traction for it. She had to go to D.C. She had to meet the folks on their own turf. And she spawned an idea, and that's how it started.
And she decided, well, I'm going to D.C., and it's a project, and I'm not going to give up until it's done.
That's right. And so every year, we do have a state director, pretty much every state in the union, and we all meet up in D.C.
A state director, so you have like one person per state who. Yeah. Okay, cool.
And then there's some directors are lucky enough to have teams.
Yeah.
California is not so
Lucky.
hip on this idea, but I'm working on it.
Well, the people are here. It's just the state is not hip.
The state is not hip.
You would think that, California is such a big state that you guys would need a team, right? How many? I don't know.
No.
What are there? 50 representatives from California? 51?
53.
53. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of representatives.
It is, and basically what we do, and a little different from what San Diego County Gun Owners does, just a little. We actually interface directly with the legislatures, whereas you guys are more important about putting people in the legislature. Right. After you put them in, we go and we talk to them. Yeah. And then we talk to them about how their decisions or the legislature actually impacts their constituents. So that's kind of where we take over.
So how did you personally get wrapped up in this?
I was Shanghai. No. I have been in and around California now since 1983. And when I finally got introduced to guns.
By the way, that's the year that that Alicia was born.
I know. She's a baby, right?
I wish.
So,
What a coincidence.
coincidence. So I've seen a lot of stuff.
A negative.
Well, a negative. You
Well,
have
I
to have
was born
babies
in
around you.
1983.
You were.
Absolutely.
Which time?
Couple.
I think he said he was bored in 1980.
Oh, that's
it
what
could
you-
be.
that's what it
there
was.
was not much going on.
Because
then. It was very sleepy.
nobody doing guns.
Yeah, it's like, wow.
He'd recently retired.
And here he is.
There's no retirement. Are you kidding me?
Okay, I'm sorry. So, all right, you.
But when I got involved, and I've been watching for a long time, and I voted for the very first time in '84.
Yeah. Who was? I forget who was running for president then.
Mr. Reagan.
Yeah.
I know you knew. But so it's been a love-hate relationship, just watching and not understanding really, until you got a little older. And I know I don't mean to sound trite, but until you're interested in something, you don't really know what's going on. And with all the little stuff, it's the minutia that really makes a difference.
Go talk to any kid today
Okay.
and ask him, what do you think of politics? And they'll,
It's a weird answer. Be careful what you ask for.
well, yeah, exactly. Because I remember when I was little, I could care less.
Yeah, you didn't.
Michael, you probably were more into it.
It actually was, but I was. But
As a
honestly,
Red Dawn.
no, I remember. So I graduated high school in '94. I read all of Rush Limbaugh's books in high school.
Oh, well, see, that's why.
What a nerd!
Totally.
Totally makes sense, though.
But
it
anyway-
totally makes sense.
But honestly, I don't know if I want people under 30 to have an opinion in politics.
Well, I don't
Everybody has an opinion.
I don't think an opinion
Everybody
necessarily,
has
but they
one.
should at least be aware.
Well,
If we had more awareness, it might be a better thing, really, truly. If they understood what was happening to their rights as we speak, particularly their Second Amendment rights, then they would. And it's why that's important. It's
So-
not just for gun owners.
so
It
you-
really isn't.
So your first election was 1984. You're in California. Were you in San Diego?
Yeah, we were. Mom and Dad bought a house up in North County in
How
Carlsbad.
much has San Diego changed since 1983?
It's night and day difference.
Is that amazing?
It's scary amazing.
You know when I really realized how different. So I moved here in '97. I moved to San Diego in '97.
Okay.
And not long after, my brother came and visited, and he said, "Boy, I thought it'd be different." And I was like, "Well, what did you think it would be?" And he brought up the intro to Simon and Simon. You remember Simon and Simon?
Oh my gosh.
And
yes.
he's like, they were
There-
like,
there
they were
it is.
they were rolling around in like pickup trucks and whatever. You know, he said, "I thought it'd be."
Surfboards.
You know, and it's like '98, and it's totally different. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess he's. You know, it took me like 15 years to realize that you remember they're standing in the library at UCSD, and I'm like, what building is that? You know, and it took me like 15 years of living here before I
to find
figured
it?
that out. Yeah, because I never went to UCSD, so what do I know? Anyway, okay, so when did you become aware of the Second Amendment and gun ownership, and when did that become important to you?
Well, it's all your fault, actually.
My fault.
Yep, it's all your fault. San Diego County gun owners kind of introduced what was going on in California, and I started paying attention because I was hanging around you guys. And when you brought people to our monthly meetings that were running for legislature or here in Southern California, that's when we got to listen to what they are actually saying. And then when they got into office, some people upheld what they said they were going to do, and some people didn't.
Yeah.
So I started doing that, and then you graduated from that, and you start. The more you're doing, the more you get involved, the less there's so much restriction now on everything you do.
Truly.
So it doesn't matter if you're into sports or if you're into sporting clays or if you're shooting handguns at a steel match. There's so many restrictions now. And what I got tired of doing basically was saying, okay, what are they going to take away from us now? And there's a lot of people talking, and there's a lot of people upset, but there's not a lot of people that will get up and do anything about it.
Right.
You're one of those that will get up and do something about it. You did.
You know what used to annoy me is the discussions on the internet when they'd say, okay, XYZ just passed. So what are we going to do to comply with it? Or what are we going to do to get around it? Or
Exactly.
whatever? I'm like,
Everyone
what are we
was
gonna do
looking
to-
for the workaround.
I'm like, workaround. What are we going to do to get rid of it? You know, why are we like, oh, well, okay, let's figure out how to. Now,
Yep.
there were a lot of really great workarounds, like Darren at North County Shooting Center. He came up with
Yes.
the bullet button.
He did.
He's a genius, and I love him to death, and I hope you're listening, Darren. You're a great guy.
Go,
and
Darren.
Certainly not criticizing that. What I'm criticizing is the attitude of kind of this, well, okay, nothing's going to get any better, Pooh
It's
Bear.
just that. We're just going to take that away.
Yeah.
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 And you've seen where they are now.
Well, what got you into gun ownership then? How did you?
Oh, that was instantaneous.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I went to Front Sight, in fact, the first I had gone out and I had purchased a firearm and was practicing.
Why
with
though?
it.
What was the catalyst? Why did you go buy
Well,
a gun?
because I was going to go to Front Sight, and I had to have something to shoot, and I didn't want to rent
Okay,
something.
that's
So
so
let's
interesting.
back up even a little bit farther. First off, not being nosy, how old were you?
That was probably 12 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
you're
she
not-
was well
16.
into adulthood.
I'm not going there.
She was well into adulthood.
But something had to. You woke up, you went and had coffee, and then all of a sudden you said,
No,
I have to get a gun.
No, it really was. I know it sounds a little crazy, but it is a little bit more spontaneous in that the people that I was hanging around at the time, they all had
Okay.
firearms at their home.
Gotcha.
And long gun, short gun didn't matter.
And you didn't.
And I didn't. It wasn't something I was opposed to. In fact, I had my dad gave me his personal
Right.
to go back and forth from Palm Springs when I lived there.
Right.
He wanted to go for my safety. I just never had any training.
Right.
I did go and I actually went to the Marine Corps firearms, and I used a 45, and I actually did get qualified there with a 45.
Wow.
That was a long time ago. And then I came back around. I started hanging out with some great people. And then they said, well, you got to come. And this was the Front Sight.
Gotcha.
And I said, well, if I'm going to do it, I might as well do it right.
What'd you buy? What was your first gun?
Bad choice.
John,
First
by
gun
the way,
was a Diamondback.
John just started laughing.
Yeah, very
oh, man.
bad choice
What
because
was it?
we spent weeks looking for what we were going to do online.
Yeah.
And John did a lot. My husband did all kinds of research, and he came up with something, and then I came up with something, and I was completely opposite than him. And we didn't get to try it, by the way. Another bad idea. So
Wait a minute.
Gotta keep everybody in suspense.
So yeah,
Yeah.
all right.
suspense.
On the next side
Well,
of the
hold
break
on.
here.
Write that on a piece of paper because you'll
All right.
forget.
I won't forget.
Okay. Well, you
I never forget. I have a mind like a sieve.
If you listen to Gun Owners Radio, you know how I feel about our current government and financial system. So it's no secret I'm a big believer in diversifying your money with precious metals like gold and silver. But when it comes to buying precious metal, you need the right company in your corner. That's why we have partnered with the top-rated precious metal company, GoldCo. Because reputation does matter. GoldCo is a 6 times Inc. 5,000 winner, 2022 Company of the Year, and they help people like you and me place over $2 billion in gold and silver. And right now, they're offering Gun Owners Radio supporters up to $10,000 in bonus silver when opening a qualified IRA account. This is your opportunity to protect yourself from out-of-control corrupt government. Don't pass it up. Grab your phone today and give GoldCo a call. Take action today so you don't regret it tomorrow. Call GoldCo at 855-612-6354, 855-612-6354, and tell them you heard it right here on Gun Owners Radio.
All right, we're talking to Kimberly Southwell from DC Project, and we were just okay. So we were asking what your first gun was. You said that you were hanging out with a bunch of derelicts who were going to take you to Front Sight.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you had to. You're like, hey, I'm going to get a gun. You guys did some research, and then I don't think you actually said what the gun was.
No.
Okay, so
no.
what was your first? What was your first gun?
The actual purchase?
Actually, wait, can we get a drum roll, please?
I'm just not a good.
All right.
So the actual first gun we found was called a Diamondback. It's out of a manufacturer out of Florida.
Diamondback. It's
Diamondback.
a pistol?
It's a
It
revolver.
is. It's a 9mm.
Yeah.
It was wrong in so many different reasons. And again,
really?
I didn't
But
shoot
what
it.
did draw? What'd you draw? Was it cute?
Nothing cute about it. I mean, it had a 5-inch
Was it the
barrel. So
maybe the price?
It was definitely the price.
Okay.
And I didn't understand as a first time gun owner what I was really looking at.
Right.
And then someone else said, "Oh yeah, this is a great thing," and then I just went with that.
I think that's probably the key, Dave, is that, when you're first kind of getting into something,
you don't
know
know.
what I mean? Like, I don't know. Is a Yugo better than a
Right.
Mercedes? I don't know.
Well, wait a minute.
right?
The Yugo's only $1,500, and this one's
Yeah.
$5,000.
I don't know the Yugo.
Hell, I'll go with the Yugo. How bad could that be?
How could it be? Yeah, it was bad.
I totally get that. So I'm going through that with watches right now. Where watches I used to love, I look at them like, that's trash. Why would anybody ever?
Why would you do that?
Isn't that ridiculous? Anyway, so you found this Diamondback, and what was exactly was wrong with it? What happened? How did you finally come to the conclusion that it wasn't
So
the best choice?
we got it. We got it out of the box, and we went to the range. And within the first 50 rounds, it failed. And it was a failure that was not fixable
Whoa.
and had to be sent back to the manufacturer.
Well, at least it was under warranty.
Kind of, sort of. We are in California, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's not on the roster.
Oh.
Bad
Oh,
idea.
that's second problem.
Well, that
Okay.
roster's to keep us safe.
Well, I'm sure it is. And in some universe, that must work. So I ended up calling a friend of mine who was going with us to Frontsite, Joseph Spencer. I know you know him.
Hey, yeah, Spence.
And Spence basically said, "Don't panic. I have something for you. I'll bring mine, and you can use it," because he was going to do an AR class, and so he said, "I'll let you use my firearm. You cannot buy this. It's not for sale." And I laughed at him and said, "No, I'm just borrowing it. No big deal." No, really, it's not for sale. I'm like, "Sure, Spence, whatever, you got it. Thank you." And so we met, we bought it. Within the first day, we saw him throughout the day. It's not for sale.
Jeez.
And by the end of that day, I understood.
No, is that
And-
nice? What was it? Do you
Well,
remember?
he had a VP9.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what?
H&K VP9.
So
and
what
it's
did you,
not for sale.
And it was not for sale, so I had to go out and buy my own.
So what was your? I guess what was your second gun then?
A
The
VP9.
VP9. Oh, okay. Wow.
You still have the other one?
No, I sold it.
Oh, you see, you nailed with somebody else. Huh?
Done. Yeah.
See, I was only familiar with Diamondback being a revolver. I didn't realize they had a pistol line as well, so I'm looking them up right now.
see?
They run, their current MSRP, they run high 2s up
Yes.
to mid 6s. And then there's the whole revolver series as well.
Yeah, so this was one of those things. Everything about what I did was wrong.
Well, because you
Should
didn't
have come
know.
and test
Well-
drove with me.
I didn't. See, I didn't know the right people.
Right.
So after that, I got involved with A Girl and a Gun.
Yeah.
And then now I'm a team for A Girl and a Gun, and I help plan and I help people get the right one for the right and fit them and understand what they're going to use it for, and that's really key.
It is.
You have to shoot, and like I tell most of the girls there, don't get something until you shoot it, until you love it. If you don't love it for any reason, rent another
Mark it.
one.
Yeah,
It
mark
doesn't
it.
cost you a dime.
Right.
It is, but there's still. I think, by the way, absolutely go to A Girl and a Gun or some educational program. Alicia, whatever.
Not me, SD.
Not me, SD. There's a ton of resources out there for sure, but I also think it's like I've outgrown guns. Have you outgrown guns? You know what I mean? Where I'm just like, this isn't my favorite anymore.
I found what I like better. I found something different,
Yeah.
and it from now.
Maybe that's better. Maybe that's a better way to put it.
Just asking how
listen,
many watches.
If
does
you're
he
if
own?
you're one of my guns and you're
It's
listening,
probably like I have
didn't know
guns.
How many watches do you own?
that. I don't.
There's a
Have you lost
trend
count?
here.
You know, I think.
I bet they're not in your safe.
No, they are. They're.
Oh!
They're. I have 9.
Okay, this is a trend.
I have more watches than I do have guns.
I know, because they're cheaper than a gun.
No.
We are talking
I
about
was
Michael,
trying to help
right?
you out, friend. But you have a trend.
I have a trend.
Yeah.
What's my trend?
You can't buy just one of anything.
Sometimes I will get all wrapped up in something.
Yeah. Oh, well, you think?
See, and that's what I did with guns. Same thing.
Yeah.
Now I have one of each size.
Well, yeah. I mean, you can never have too many.
No, you can't. And there's different things for different reasons.
And that's what I love when
So-
the media says this guy had like 20.
I know,
guns
had
in
a-
No,
his-
they
yeah.
want to know why you need that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They don't understand it. Well, because you don't.
So this was like 7 years ago, 8 years ago,
10.
10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So 10 years ago, you were, you bought a Diamondback and then you bought a VP9. You weren't sure and blah 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 on front sight, and now you're a rep for DC Project. How cool is that?
I'm an NRA pistol instructor.
Wow.
I'm an NRA certified range safety officer.
Who would have thought?
I know.
Did you grow up with guns?
Well,
With your
yes
mom
and
and
no.
dad?
I mean, Daddy pretended to be a hunter because it was the thing to do with the guys, so he would go duck hunting, okay? I inherited the only gun, I think he went once to shoot duck hunting. So I inherited the Remington 1100. 1976, pristine, beautiful gun.
Yeah.
So I still have it.
Yeah.
So what? Tell people if people don't know what DC Project is. What do you want them to know about it, or what are some of the things you do day to day, or
Day to day is we track a lot of things that are happening. I'm specifically interested in what's happening in California, and I mean there's a lot happening.
I've noticed.
Yeah, I'm sure you have. And if it's not one thing, it's another. And there's legislatures that are trying to do and write up legislation that absolutely make no sense. I thought I was intelligent enough to read English, but when I'm trying to read the legislative stuff that they're putting out to vote on, it's very, very difficult to understand. And then they don't even understand what it's going to happen if they pass it, which sadly it does. They don't even know what's going to happen. So on a day-to-day, DC Project follows and tracks out all the legislation. I'm specifically of course we track it in all 50 states. I'm specifically tracking it for California. And then we go to the sponsors or the co-sponsors of the bills or the registration or legislation, and we give them another side or another point of view. They may or may not be educated enough to even understand what they wrote. They're being pushed to do something from someone else. There's no telling why they did what they did. But since it's up for a vote, we just bring another point of view.
And it keeps getting worse. I know a lot of people, the gun organizations put out, this is the worst year ever. Yeah. And it sounds like, the sky's falling, but it really does keep getting worse and worse.
It really does because it's more invasive. And the things that they're doing right now, I mean, take something local. You guys were just down at Imperial Beach.
Yeah, which we won. We won that thing.
You won that. And that was simply for taxation on something that you're going to purchase.
Right.
That has to do with guns.
Yep.
That's just one little thing, and that's...
So do you make them nervous when you walk into Sacramento? When they see you coming?
I don't know. See, there's a couple of other colored shirts that are on the opposite side.
They know who you are. I have a feeling.
They might. they might know who I am, but because of who we are and why we do what we do, it's the manner of which we do it, which is really, I found more appealing than anything else. There's a lot of people that get in your face and they accept the fact that I'm going to approach them responsibly.
Right.
That I'm going to try to reach out to see where they're at
professionally.
And then I'm going to give them another side, and it's going to be as tactful and as professional. There are other means that are used, and it's not so nice.
Right.
You see a horde of people in...
That never works.
It just doesn't work. So we found that personal relationships with the legislation gives us a better chance of at least being heard.
Right.
I don't know if it'll change it.
Yeah, but you're getting them thinking.
We're getting them thinking. And we're giving them a reasonable expectation of, hey, if this happens, this is what's going to happen to us, your constituents.
Because I don't think they really think it out.
Honestly,
they only know one thing.
Well, like SB2 is probably the scariest thing coming down the pike right now, which is basically outlawing your ability to carry anywhere.
Anywhere, anytime.
Yeah. If there's that's
a definite infringement on anything the Constitution had in mind.
Yeah, you can have a CCW, but the only place
you just can't carry it.
You carry it in your house
anywhere.
No, you carry it in your house.
You can carry it in your house.
Maybe your front yard.
Yeah. Well, no. Hey, outside your front door, not so much. I mean, there's a lot of the opposite. Look, there's a lot of things that happen, and I believe that everybody really wants the same thing. They just have different means of the end result. So there's a lot of people that all of us can agree on is gun safety. Gun safety is huge, and both sides can agree to that.
Right.
After you get past the gun safety, it's how we're going to fix the problem is where we differ. I believe that if you educate someone on how this is a loaded gun, this is what you do, this is how you do it, this is what you don't do, that's going to
But there's people out there that don't even know why do you even want a gun.
Correct. They don't.
I mean,
for
what's
those
the
people,
purpose?
they still need the education.
Right.
Because if they come up on something and they come up on a gun, they need to treat it like it's loaded. They need to treat it. If they point it at someone, that's a bad thing.
Right.
They need to know the basic safety.
See, and that's the issue.
And they don't do that anymore.
There
it's like taboo to talk about it. Ooh.
There are some people that will come with from the viewpoint of guns are horrible and evil, and I'm taking this class so I can learn about the inside story because I hate them. I want to hate them more. They leave actually
They are
liking it.
gun advocates after that. We have a lot of girls from DC Project that have done that.
So it's a
Called
lot more
training.
fun to shoot a gun than it is to ban a gun.
It is.
So
Much
it's
more.
Well, what's is there a website or something that people can people donate or find out more?
Absolutely. DCProject.com.
DC Project. How do you spell DC?
D like David, C like Charlie.
So your name wasn't in there.
Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio. If you're watching mainstream media, you're not getting the truth about guns. Gun Owners Radio is the easiest way to stay on top of the Second Amendment fight, the fight for your self-defense rights. You can watch our live stream on YouTube every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, or if you're in San Diego, AM 1170, FM 96.1, The Answer. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform. Just search Gun Owners Radio and you'll find our show. Like and subscribe to help defend and restore the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.